Greetings and God bless. I just wanted to do a little talk about reckless drivers. And I think I understand the mentality now of people recklessly driving or what's been going on um, with the incentivizing of deaths to get the corona money, um, and the incentivizing of suffocating children, the incentivizing of the grooming of children to uh, for this LGBT agenda. Because there's money, there's power, and people are just like, I've got to pay my bills, so I'm gonna look away. And well before the current events, there were rackets going on. There was human trafficking going on, and I mean, when I'm saying human trafficking, it's not just what the stereotype that we all have seen in movies or something like that. To me, it seems like there's soft human trafficking, like government officials or elected officials or managers or employees. There's people who have been blackmailed or brainwashed or bribed, and in my opinion, that's a form of human trafficking. And there's people who have been trafficked, in my opinion, that don't even realize that they have been used that way. I think the military is a major hub of human trafficking because you subject people to breaking their minds, and whatever happens to them during their basic training and the duration of their time there, they are much more vulnerable to predators. And the military does nothing, especially since predators, they don't come as predators. They come as a church. They come as a religious organization or an aid organization. I'm not saying that all churches, all pastors, or all aid organizations are predators, but that is what I have observed. And because the nice people who are working there, um, they're like, oh, I need to pray about it. So nobody's confronting anybody about the manipulation, the brainwashing, the bribing. There's very little good conscious communication, because people are afraid of speaking up. They don't want to cause conflict. And so then we have just this decades long, centuries long, uh, just insanity and sickness. And there's people who are trafficked, and then there's the people who are sheltered and insulated, and they're so naive, they have no clue about how this world is. But what made me think about this is, so I was crossing a street, and it was like a series of two railroad tracks. And so everybody has to slow down when crossing the railroad tracks, if only to protect their car. And so I was crossing because the traffic it was just appropriate. And so I am just at the beginning to go to my curb, and somebody with their pedal on the metal, like going 30 miles an hour on the railroad tracks to go to be at their stoplight at 30 miles an hour. So they nearly clipped me, and they honked their horn as I'm just on my way. I'm still, just getting to a curb. And what is the mentality of drivers these days? Because at another corner, I'm just I asked the person to stop because I'm in the middle of the crosswalk walk on my light. My pedestrian sign is saying you can go, and so what people like to do is they start a whole stream of 10 cars. So then I'm stranded, as the light then starts saying don't walk. But we have all these cars, and so I just want to finish crossing the street because the cars behind the person who's cutting in front of me, they won't be able to, they won't know, and they're just going to be in automatic pilot. Nobody is thinking when they're driving. Nobody is acting for themselves. Everybody is following the leader. Everybody is following just who's right in front of them. Nobody is paying attention if there's somebody crossing the street. This is just how it is, and this is what everybody else expects. And if you're a biped that dares to cross the street, that's your problem. And that is what drivers think. That is what the police think. That's what basically the community thinks. So you are really on your own when you're trying to cross the street. And I would say this goes not only for Rapid City, South Dakota. I found this to be the case in Missoula, Montana, in Norfolk, Virginia, and even in some suburbs of Portland. When you're in downtown Portland, it's the engineering is better, and there's just this mentality of allowing pedestrians to cross the street. But when you're on the sidewalk, you have to worry about the crazy cyclists who are riding on the sidewalk like bats out of hell. And I got crashed into about 5 times when I was living in Portland, walking on the sidewalk. So the bicyclists will crash into you on the sidewalk in Portland. And the cars, though, like when I was living in Montana, that was the mentality of the sense I got there is they're like, just hurry up and die. That's the sense I got as a pedestrian, as a person in Missoula, Montana, is just hurry up and die. And then here in Rapid, it's like, I'm trying to kill you. I get the feeling about Rapid is, why don't you die already? I am trying to kill you. Just die already. That's the message I get from Rapid City, South Dakota. And I'm sure and yes, there's nice people in Rapid who would be totally shocked that is my summary about them. And that's just how I feel. And I have a right to my opinion. Write some, make up your own thing, do your own video about how idyllic Rapid is for you. That's great. I just find it a hellhole. So back to me. So I'm trying to cross the street. I'm just trying to get to my sidewalk, and the person is going really fast right behind me, honking at me. Now they had plenty of time because I didn't see any car going, else I would have waited or whatever. So they had time to see me, and it was as if they were speeding up to honk at me. I'm not sure that is the case, but like as I was crossing another street or getting to another curb, I had asked the person to stop, and by some miracle, they stopped to let me cross so they wouldn't run over me. But then they put the gas on really hard to hurry up so they get to the next 20 or 50 feet quicker because they're going to have to stop because there's another car there. And I just noticed all this passive aggressiveness. And I'm wondering, how many people have drivers killed? How many drivers have you killed? How many drivers have you killed when being drunk? How many drivers have your friends or family killed? Because I am beginning to think murdering people is normal. I mean, how many people how many babies, how many fetuses have you murdered? How many fetuses have the women in your life murdered? How in the workplace, how many people have you killed as a doctor or as a nurse or as a whatever? How many people have you murdered because of just letting not where it was like, this is just a huge family thing, or maybe I don't know, but I am beginning to realize that life is cheap. Murder is just normal. Actually, I am beginning to wonder if killing people is normal, if it's acceptable, if it's actually the goal or something. Like it seems like to torture people, to cause suffering for people, to gaslight people about the torture, suffering, and to kill them or have them commit suicide. That actually seems to be the motive. That seems to be what people are kind of complicit, if not actively perpetuating. And we can see this if you just look at look at the current medical procedures, look at the results of lockdowns. Even the people who started the lockdowns admit that the lockdowns did more harm than good. And there's no apologies, there's no conscience. These people, I mean, like, so anyways, this is just something that I'm thinking about. I mean, have I murdered anybody? I don't think I've murdered anybody, but maybe like our sheer obliviousness causes death, like, I had a roommate who committed suicide, and I had no idea he was um sad or struggling. Uh, and I mean, this is, I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty. Like, I just think we need to realize that killing people is not a good thing. That if we have any part to play in the prevention of murder, we need to, number one, avoid murdering people ourselves. Number two, speak up to defend those who are vulnerable, who are being murdered. So, if you're a tech or a nurse or a doctor, and it's going to make the hospital $300,000 or $400,000 if you kill that patient, and so they want to kill, of course, all of them. They want to. I've heard of with the swabs. Nobody had a positive test after the swab. The whole wing died. All the people died. And, and so we've got this phantom that we blame death on, when in fact it's something else. It's some sort of medical protocol, breaking the crib form plate, or the combo of previous medical protocols combined with the crib form plate, combined with 5G, combined with all the toxic sanitizer that's killing the biome, killing our probiotics, the lockdowns itself, the depression that it causes, the hostility. So, in the Bible, it says, God says, Jesus said, if you hate your brother, it's just as bad as killing them. And, I've been struggling with that myself. So yeah, I guess I am a murderer, because I have been hating mean drivers, or I have been hating mean people, right? So we are all murderers. I mean, I know what I'm saying sounds so offensive, like for me to ask, have you killed anybody? Um, but a lot of women have. A lot of women have performed abortion. It's murder. It's killing something. I've killed bugs before, and I just wonder, maybe it's more normal than I'm aware of. And I just want to say, this is not a good thing. It needs to stop now. And so, I try to remember to pray for the angry drivers, the aggressive drivers, the dangerous drivers, because clearly they need God. Like, what, they're so comfortable. They have a car, they're sitting down, and they just have to push their foot while I am trying to hurry across the street, because my life is in peril, because we have these maniacs out on the street. But the person that's all comfy in their sports car, or their pickup truck, or their four-door sedan, where they have the music playing, and they have the air conditioning or the heater on, somehow their hearts are so full of rage and anger and destruction and murder, that they can't wait. They can't wait for 5 seconds for me to just cross. Like, this is where we're at, folks. You may be taking a class in how evil your skin color is, or how guilty you should be, and blah blah blah. But and I mean, because I find all demographics are enraged drivers, all colors, all ages. Conservative Priuses have been hostile, trying to run me over too. So it's not any one group. It's not the people who hate Trump. It's not the people who love Trump, for instance. Um, so this is where we're at. We are at a decline of civilization, And I don't know who's the trustworthy person on the road. I mean, I feel like I do not want to live where there's vehicles, because people should not be allowed to drive, in my opinion. And I'm talking about like nice people that I've been in the car with that aren't safely maneuvering. Um, because I don't know how to drive, so I don't know what's going on. But in the past, it seemed like the drivers I knew were doing much more complex driving, and they were doing it safer. And right now, it seems like people I've been interacting with are doing much simpler driving, and they're doing it more dangerously. They're oblivious. They're out of their minds, and they're sober. You know, uh, so and, I am the canary in the coal mine because there's people who would be like, well, you're complaining too much or you have a really negative outlook or whatever. But when you're a confirmed pedestrian, I mean, when that's just how you get about, you feel things more acutely because you're facing the homeless people, the hard weather, the inconvenience of having to wear a lot of layers. You're dealing with maybe health issues because you don't drive. So so as somebody who's just a dedicated pedestrian, uh, I'm feeling it more than, let's say, a sheltered privileged person who's in their gated community, but what the value that I have to offer is that this will eventually affect everybody. And so I just think we need to care about human life, care about the human life that's right in front of you. Because what everybody's concerned about, we're concerned about what? A country a million miles away that we've never been to and never will. We're worried about gender studies in the Middle East, when your children aren't getting the attention that they need from you. And so they're maybe doing some type of acting out, so much so, oh well, it will please your social group if they have this certain issue. That's what I'm beginning to wonder, and I'm wondering if it's like in the Sixth Sense or other situations where the mother is doing like kind of feeding off of the child's situation, getting attention and whatnot. So, anyways, I think this is a hard question, and I know I need to be more loving, because I don't feel much love. I can barely, honestly say I have any for more than maybe a couple milliseconds. So, I get to pray and ask God to help me have a more loving heart. And I would like it if drivers would too. And of course, there are a lot of drivers who are safe drivers, who are responsible drivers, who are drivers that, yeah, I take for granted because only responsible people who have impulse control, only they should be on the road. If somebody is trying to kill people when they drive, they shouldn't be on the road because that's called murder or attempted murder. So somebody who's polite, like they shouldn't even be like, I deserve acknowledgement. I mean, because it's like, well, I didn't punch you. Well, I need acknowledgement because I didn't punch you, even though I feel like punching you, or I never thought about punching you, but now I want acknowledgement. Do you know what I mean? Like, uh, so hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, like stop killing people. Stop killing people in real life. Even if your job, even if you're going to have to move in with your parents, stop killing people. And I would say repent if you have killed people. God will forgive you. There's a lot of murderers in the Bible that God forgave, and God chose them as His people. So stop murdering people. Stop murdering fetuses. Stop murdering patients. Stop running over people on the crosswalk or whatever it is that you do. And bring the topic up with others, encourage others to stop murdering people. And we need to stop murdering people in our hearts, and that is harder. I think it's kind of hard to murder people. You need a lot of infrastructure to make it happen, but it's happened. It's been happening. The globalists' depopulation agenda is it's been prolific. But with so but murdering people in your heart, that's something I'm working on, because it's enraging. There's just so many things, so much infrastructure that's making life hell, in my opinion. Uh, so and I get angry and I get bitter, and so it's hard for me to be loving. So if you have any suggestions about how you maintain a soft heart, a loving heart in the face of all this hell, I'm interested in any of your suggestions and any prayers actually about this topic. So thank you for listening. God bless.